Joined now by Amartya Sharma, who's from High School Democrats of America. And Sharma worked on the Hillary Clinton campaign as a volunteer 4 years ago. And of course, his dream is a racially integrated America. Thank you so much for your time. Let's just begin with, the latest developments. We're seeing protests. We're seeing, talk of a recount in Georgia. What is your reaction to the turn of events, as it were, when it comes to these elections?
Thank you for having me on. Quite frankly, the American people are speaking. They're turning out in droves, and they're saying no to President Trump and his attempts to try to undermine the legitimacy of large swaths of ballots. In the end, I do not think will prevail, and Vice President Biden will be the next president of the United States.
Now, Amartya, having worked on the Clinton campaign in 2016 and having been disappointed by that outcome, I would imagine, if looking at the outcome now and the fact that some of those states that were flipped by Donald Trump in 2016, now Biden has been able to sway them in favor of the Democrats. What do you think is different now as opposed to 2016?
Well, I think obviously the biggest is the fact that Mr. Trump has been president now for 4 years. The American people, enough of whom gave him a chance 4 years ago, and they have seen that it was a tremendous, tremendous failure. As you just mentioned, there are a record number of cases in the United States, single-day record, amidst this election. And it's really symbolic. President Trump has utterly failed from a large variety of issues, and particularly the coronavirus. And so the biggest difference, obviously, is that President Trump has been president now for 4 years, and the American people are tired. They're simply tired. We see the attacks on the elections. There's so many different things that have just shown how corrupt and how wrong simply President Trump is. And so he's obviously the biggest difference 4 years removed. I also think an important factor, and it ties into that, is that Vice President Biden is certainly more popular than Hillary Clinton was. And why that is exactly is a separate issue. But he certainly is more popular, having served under a very popular president in President Obama. And so that all coming together, there is a genuine need on behalf of the American people. We want a change in leadership. We want someone who can direct our course, get this pandemic under control, get our economy under control, and restore the sanctity of our democracy, given the way that it's being attacked right now by this president and this party.
And Amartya, when you look at, Senate and how things are going to likely play out there, it won't be an easy ride for Joe Biden. I mean, should he be pronounced the president of the United States? I mean, certainly he will have difficulty in passing some kind of legislation, but at the same time also have a difficulty in uniting the people of America, especially looking at how the results that are trickling in have been. A lot of people thought it was going to be a landslide victory, but certainly the character of the voter in America is emerging here, and that is a division. How important is it going to be going forward for these two sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, to be able to work together, particularly in passing legislation that is going to benefit the American people, as you say, and also chart a way forward for the people of America?
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll first just say, obviously, there have been some Senate races that have been disappointing, I'll admit, for us, for the Democrats, that we would have hoped to win. Susan Collins in Maine obviously was a seat that we thought we could flip. But I think when you see the Georgia numbers the way they're playing out right now, and now we're headed for 2 runoff elections, not just one in that state. And so there is still a window for us to retain a majority in the Senate. There's a Senate race in Alaska that is yet to be called. I'm still optimistic about that. There's still about 45-ish% of the vote that's yet to be reported in the state of Alaska. But for your overarching question, I think has its own answer. The Democrats, we had a diverse set of candidates from various ideological playing fields. And in the end, we picked Joe Biden largely because he is someone who has a track record of working across the aisle, bringing people together in ways that many may not have otherwise anticipated. And so I think Joe Biden there couldn't be a better person for this moment than someone like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, who the Democrats and who now the American people have entrusted to bring people together. And so for this aspect of the divisions, the political divisions, the racial divisions that we've seen with that as well in the United States that are bearing out in some of the vote counts, I'm still optimistic because we have such a strong team, and I think we have such a strong candidate, and I think a majority of Democrats and the American people understand that as well. And I think we'll be able to move forward with someone like Vice President Biden now, seems to be President-elect Biden at the helm.
All right. Thank you so much. We do appreciate your time. That is Amartya Sharma, who is from the High School Democrats, and he was, of course, coming to us live from New Jersey. And more coverage of the U.S. elections in just a moment.